千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. The Tao of happiness is focusing on Zhuangzi. So Zhuangzi spoke of these issues, including leadership, using stories to illustrate his point. So when he wanted to talk about what it means to be a great leader, a visible leader who people respect and love, there's a certain Tao of leadership there as well. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Well, the story he wrote was about a bandit. So from this book, The Tao of Happiness, there's a story from Zhuangzi that once upon a time in ancient China, there was a notorious bandit by the name of Zi, who led a group of outlaws. One day, one of his men asked him, "Hey boss, do we bandits have the Tao?" The other bandits thought this might be a joke, but Zi answered seriously. He said, "Absolutely. How can we not follow the principles of the Tao? In fact, there are 5 principles that are especially important." So the men, all the bandits, wanted to know what the 5 principles were. So Zi listed them one by one. He said, first, a bandit has to be able to figure out where people hide their treasure. This is the principle of insight, being able to see what others cannot. So of course, all the bandits are like, "Oh yeah, right, of course, yeah, we need to figure out that stuff. People hide their treasures in different places. We need to figure it out." So this was easy to understand. Then Zi said, a bandit has to be willing to go into a heavily guarded mansion first. This is the principle of courage, leading the way with bravery and determination. And again, all the bandits were nodding their heads. Of course, this is what they expected from someone who would lead them. Then, Zi continued, a bandit also has to be willing to cover everyone's exit by being the last to leave. This is the principle of loyalty, sacrificing one's safety to protect one's fellows. Makes sense. First in, last out. Then Zi said, a bandit has to be able to evaluate a situation in terms of danger, safety, failure, and success. This is the principle of discernment, the ability to think clearly and judge wisely. Lastly, he said, a bandit has to make sure everyone gets an equal share of the loot. This is the principle of fairness, so no one will be left out. These 5 principles, insight, courage, loyalty, discernment, and fairness, are the Tao of the bandit. If you do not have all 5, it will be impossible for you to become a great bandit. So at that, the bandits realized that there was a lot more to banditry than they first thought, than they first imagined. And now the question for everybody. Do you think that Zhuangzi was actually teaching people how to excel as bandits? It's kind of a rhetorical question. And I think As you would probably expect, the answer is no. Zhuangzi was not writing a manual on how to be a bandit. He chose to tell this particular story in this particular fashion. Why? Well, it was for dramatic effects, to catch attention, to have a captivating story that, hey, even bandits, can follow the Tao. So it's to basically highlights the universal nature of his message. If the Tao can apply to bandits, then, well, yeah, you can be pretty sure it would apply to you. It would apply to all other aspects of life as well. Now, last time I mentioned that when we talk about the Tao of leadership, it's not just for people who aspire to become great leaders. Even if you don't have this kind of aspiration, this discussion can be very helpful because the 5 principles can help you evaluate the leaders you come across. You can identify which ones are closest to the Tao. So let me go through them with you. So number 1 is, as you will probably recall, is insight, to be insightful by looking farther and deeper. So just so you understand the overall context, this is about strategic thinking. This is about looking further ahead, knowing what to do next in terms of your overall direction. A vision for the future, if you will. So this is about planning. This is about knowing what to plan. So strategic thinking. Then we have courage. Lead by personal example rather than words. So we know that those who talk more than they do are not going to succeed as leaders. They may succeed as critics, but not as leaders. So great leaders have to also take action in a proactive way and be willing to do what they ask other people to do. And this is what gives their delegation its authority, that they can do it, but they trust you to do it. So lead by personal example. And remember, in the story, this is expressed as first in, first to go in. In our world, we might say, first to be proactive in a particular initiative, leading by example. And then loyalty, this is the last out, first in, last out. This is the part where you take care of your team. If you take care of your team, then your team will take care of you because you have to offer your loyalty to the team first. That team loyalty is a powerful force in any enterprise. So great leaders are the ones that know how to harness and direct this energy. Then we have discernment, the ability to evaluate and assess the situation. So some not understanding the original may say that, well, that's just another way to say insight. Well, as I mentioned, insight is more about strategic thinking, planning, direction for the future. Discernment is about the tactical, what to do in any given situation. So in the life of a bandit, you can imagine that there's some planning that goes into a heist before that heist takes place. And then once you're actually engaged in doing the tasks to further the success of the heist, there's going to be all kinds of things that come up. And then you're going to need to be able to evaluate and assess the situation. This is tactical thinking as opposed to strategic thinking. Lastly, when everybody's out, everybody is back in the lair, with the goods, with the result of the heist, then it's time to split it up. So you got to be fair, got to be equitable, no playing favorites. There's nothing that damages a team faster than a leader who plays favorites. So that leader makes sure everyone is carrying their own weight as far as doing their own share of work. No one is allowed to slack off. And eventually, when victory is at hand, great leaders make sure that everybody in the team benefits equally. Nobody's left out. So these are the 5 principles that benefit, that go toward great leadership. The universal nature of the Tao means these are the same 5 principles we should follow in every aspect of life. That has to do with group dynamics. So it's not just business, it's not just banditry, pulling off a heist. No, it's not about that. This is more universal than that. So whether you are interacting with family, friends, neighbors, or community, you may find yourself in a situation where people are looking to you for direction, even if you do not wish to take on that responsibility. So as we look around at one another, here in this gathering, let's all take a moment to acknowledge everybody else that is in the meeting with us. We're all fellow travelers, sharing the same path for the moment, at least until the next stop. So you may be, as we traverse this path from one moment to the next, there's going to be times when you are ahead of the pack, blazing a trail, showing everybody the way. When that happens, whether it's here online or in real life, I want you to think of Zi the bandits and look at these 5 things: insight, courage, loyalty, discernment, fairness. Use them to guide you into the Tao of leadership. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.